Today on Teuty's track analysis, we have the track of the day for February 1st, Forgotten Ice by Skierman123. Forgotten Ice is a lull track with the surfaces ice, road, plastic, and sausage, and it also has special blocks of which are turbo boost, engine off, and slow motion. The track has a GPS, a single finish, no speed checks, and no skips or cuts. I would also suggest camera 2 for this track. I found the difficulty to be rather easy and would rate it a 3.5 out of 10. The track has very easy medal times, and I beat the author medal time by over 8 seconds with a time of 31.972. I give Forgotten Ice a plus rating. For today's analysis and comparison, we're using the current world record Ghost, which was driven by Grenati, and they had a 30.918, and this is 1.054 seconds ahead of my personal best. So there's not a ton to go over today. In concept, basically every single turn is kind of the same here today. Really on these turns, you want to enter at about the same spot. You'll see this seam kind of on the wall right here between where it starts flat and where it goes into the curve section. That's about where you want to enter, and you want to be pretty flat up against it as well. Also, in these turns, you want to steer with the wall. So for the example, this one, we're turning left. You want to steer 100% to the left while you're going through this turn. Where I have it paused right now is a little after I already touched the wall. I bounced off the wall because I entered a little too much on an angle and a little too early. So I bounced, and it'll cost me a little bit of speed, though this one wasn't all that bad. For the exits on these turns, you want to go out pretty straight as you'll have icy tires, and you do not want to slide too much. Again, approaching this upcoming one, be nice and flat against the wall, get in it right at the seam, maybe a little bit earlier as long as you're flat enough against the wall, and you should make it fairly cleanly. Again, come out nice and straight and line yourself up nice and flat against the wall for the next wall ride. I would also like to point out that these turns do get a lot harder as we go on, as you'll have more speed and less time to get yourself lined up, especially on turns that go from a right-hand turn to a left-hand turn or vice versa. And moving on, we're really not that far behind the world record at this point. After this wall ride and through the checkpoint, we're only 2/10 behind. But we're basically about to double that as we enter this wall ride right here, as I will enter too early, get a big bounce, and lose some distance. This loss is minor in comparison to ones we'll have later on, but through these next couple of wall rides, really the same concept applies. But here at this one, I am way too aggressive, entering way too early, have too much momentum to the left, and I will get a huge bounce. Of course, this big bounce cost me a lot of speed, and then entering this wall ride again, I enter too early, have too much rightward momentum this time, and I will get another big bounce here. And those two big bounces on those turns cost me a ton of speed, 44 speed in fact behind at this checkpoint right here. And before the two big turns at the end there, I was about 0.4 of a second behind, but once we get to the finish line, I'll be over 1 second behind. So a huge difference there, losing about 0.7 of a second in those wall rides. Moving up a tiny bit, we got the slow-mo block here, which you can jump over if you have enough speed, and the more speed you have, the lower you can jump. I take a much higher jump here than the world record, and you can see them landing very early here, and they'll be able to get a much faster acceleration into the finish. So while only giving today's track a plus rating, it is a type of track that I love to grind. Very repeatable, very consistent in little things you can do to try to get fractions of a second off. So I'm probably going to put a lot of time in this track and try to get the best time I can here. That'll do it for today's analysis though. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like the video and subscribe. Check the description for links to my Twitch and Discord if you're interested in joining or following those. And be sure to check out all the other track analysis videos out on the channel already. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next track analysis.